This is me on a walk, experimenting how if I could do live streams. Today we're gonna do another video about guilt. Okay, um, I said you can drop the guilt. Alright, let's try it. Are you feeling guilty? Oh, sorry. Are you surrounded? No, sorry. Are you? It's okay. Are you drowning in guilt? Do you feel like every little mistake you do, you really? Are you drowning in guilt? Do you feel like every little mistake you do, you relive it in your head? Well, I used to be just like you, but through the Course in Miracles, I was able to heal my guilt and see what guilt really is. It's just a useless emotion. And hi, if you're new here, I'm Cahir. I'm here to take you one step closer to self-love. Now, this is a scripted video. So, um, I have some bullet points I'd like to talk about. I used guilt for everything, guys. I used to feel guilty about everything, guys. Um, from failing French in university, not using this VR treadmill that I bought, or if I made an honest mistake with a friend, I'd use that to whip myself into submission. Not anymore. Right? Guilt is not a moral compass. It is an ego trap. We think feeling guilty means we are good people, right? Holding ourselves accountable. But all it does is create this mental anguish and block actual solutions. Right? From a quote from A Course in Miracles. Guilt asks for punishment, and its request is granted, not in truth, but in the world of shadows and illusions. Right? And the reason why I'm making this video, and I've made quite a few videos on guilt, is that because I was raised in guilt. Like, I've told this story before, but so basically in my childhood, my brother and I, we grew up in buffets. So every Saturday after Polish school, we would go to a buffet, a China buffet. That was because it's just cheap, lots of food. Not the best, not the best way to teach your kids, portion control. And so I'll show you how guilt was even with food, guys. So we're at the China buffet, and we were already quite chubby. And I think my parents were really worried about our weight because my dad is obese, my mom was already also overweight. So they were very concerned about us. And I put a donut on my plate, and my dad is like, to my mom, not to me. He's like, "Oh, you put a fucking donut on his plate. What is he doing?" Like, bro, come on, come on. And I also shared a story like this, but something similar. But this is when I was older, when I was like 25. We were all set at a buffet, and everything was fine. If there's meat, vegetables, whatever. But I put some white bread on my plate. My dad looks at me. He's like, "Did you have to overdo it with the fucking bread?" Crazy, Instead of like, "Hey, you want to eat some healthy portions?" I can laugh now, and I know I told that story, but just it's so insane, It's so insane until like you take a step back and you're like, "Oh, that is just not healthy behavior." Right, right. Course in Miracles shift, right? Other people's harsh reactions are about their ego, their fear, and their lack of grace. Right? When you make a mistake, you deserve the same forgiveness you freely give to others. Right? So, like, my dad was just projecting his fear that I'm gonna be this unhealthy person just like he was, and I believed it, guys. I can't tell you how much anguish I had about food. I've told you like my coping mechanism was binge eating at night, which I also found out is kind of normal thing for people that come from dysfunctional families. But then I'd make myself feel guilty, be like, "Oh, If I make myself feel guilty enough, I won't do it. I won't do it again, you know? But of course in Miracles, right? Oh, so I had a belief, right? I am bad when others react poorly to me, right? Others' lack of grace is a call for love. And I do not need to internalize this fear. I wish I had that mentality in me. Right? Course in Miracles says, you have no cause for guilt, and being guiltless, you will be at peace. Amazing, amazing stuff. Um, I kind of I want to talk to this also with when it comes to other people's projections. So my best childhood friend, I would even call him my cousin, Yusuf. I've mentioned a few times. Yusuf and I were thick as thieves. But like, you know, when you have, as guys, you have that one friend that you could always hang out with, talk about anything. That was Yusuf for me. And uh, things were already having trouble in our friendship around when I was 18 or 19. And when I was 19, I moved to Poland, you know, for university. And then I came back to the States for summer vacation. And uh, I, I did. I think both my parents sold my car, so I didn't have a car. So I was just relying on the help of others. And I was at my two other friends' house, Gunnar and Eric. Um, and Gunnar and Eric lived about, I think, like 10 minutes away from where I used to live. And I told Yusuf, hey, like, let's hang out. I'm back from, you know, back from Poland. Let's hang out at my house. And so he lived very far away, about like 90 minutes. And he came to my house, and I was at Gunnar and Eric's house. You know, I should have texted him. I don't know, I was discombobulated, man. All right, it's an honest mistake, right? Honest mistake. But he got so mad. He's like, "What? Like, no way. This is like, I'm not gonna wait for you to, you know, come pick me up. I'm just gonna call my dad to pick me up and go home." It's an awful, awful feeling, you know. It's like, yeah, I made a mistake. I should have texted him. I should have, you know. But like, it was just the same reaction my parents had. You make one small mistake, and it's like, "Oh, you don't love me. You don't care about me." My dad did something recently like that, and to see that with my best friend, heartbreaking, heartbreaking. You know. And but now I can see the solution would be forgiveness and grace. Forgiveness and grace, right? If Yusuf was late, if Yusuf made a mistake, I know 100%. I'd be like, bro, don't worry about it. Things happen. You're away from the country. I'll wait. You know, maybe I wouldn't be happy about it, but I certainly wouldn't like go back home. That's me, right? But I think this is just my thing, my thoughts. I think he already didn't want to be friends with me by that time. I don't know. That's the thing with I have no clue. But I wish I gave myself that grace because I made myself feel so guilty, so fucking guilty over that moment, you know. And for what? For what? It wasn't gonna solve any situation. It wasn't gonna help anybody. It just made me feel bad. Right. Next, I wrote here about required suffering. Okay. um, I know I told this many times. I look at this in high school when I was in the marching band, kind of like a metaphor for. Well, think about it. Like I played the tuba as a super heavy instrument. It was a burden, right? I was holding this burden for no reason, right? And I I wouldn't practice the tuba. I wouldn't practice the tuba, and I'd feel guilty for not practicing it. Instead of, you know, being solution orientated, be like, hey, or even just being radically honest with myself and be like, hey, why aren't you practicing? Why aren't you practicing? Not like in a guilty, like, why aren't you practicing? You know, just be like, why aren't you practicing? Maybe because you don't fucking like it. You know, and I know it's so simple, but this is why I'm making these videos because it wasn't simple for me back then. I just had this belief, you know, you had to suffer, right? Life is not supposed to be fun. You're supposed to suffer, and I think it's a very Polish mentality. At least that generation, like with my parents, if you imagine, you know, they were like hardcore, during the socialist times, and like having that belief, like just communism, and this, belief of suffering permeated in all aspects of my life, even with relationships. I was single for a while, and like with this whole society, like, oh, you're single, you're worthless, and I felt so guilty. I wasn't doing anything about it. So like, oh, I tried the dating apps, didn't work. And like, okay, I'm gonna be a pickup artist. Like, not proud of it. Um, I wasn't good at it. But I want to speak about my experience, right? Because I did something out of guilt, right? I didn't do it like, oh, I could meet a wonderful person who's like, oh, you fucking bitch. You got, why aren't you doing anything? Why aren't you doing anything? I know so many of us guys have that voice in their head, man. Where does it lead you? Where does it lead you? Right? Of course, the miracles perspective here. God does not demand sacrifice. Suffering is not a virtue. Forcing yourself to endure things that drain your spirit is an attack on yourself. Man, I wish I had that mentality. And especially, I think with men, it's we have this belief you have to sacrifice, you have to just fucking grind, and then added to like the generational thing and the nationality thing with me being Polish and having all that shit. Hard stuff, man. Here's the belief to release, right? I have to suffer, sacrifice, or struggle to have value. How many of us have those thought systems in our head? Right? I have to suffer, sacrifice, or struggle to have value. But the belief to embrace is joy is my natural state. And I am allowed to walk from what does not serve me. Walk away from what does not serve me. Now, I wish I had this mentality. Right? At least I have it now. But I didn't. And you could see how that led to suffering. Right? From Course in Miracles. God's will for you is perfect happiness because there is no sin, and suffering is causeless. Bro. You know what I mean? So guilt paralyzes, action liberates. I'm gonna share some very like weird reasons I was making myself feel guilty. So I bought a VR treadmill, um, or a cat VR, which I recommend. Amazing stuff. a bit expensive, maybe for me. And I had days where I'd use it a lot, days I wouldn't use it a lot. And there's like stretches of like maybe 2 weeks or more, I wouldn't play it at all. I'm like, oh man, you bought this expensive equipment, you're not fucking using it, you bitch. Maybe not you bitch. I was definitely making myself feel guilty. And guilt, didn't help me make any solutions. I was just stuck in place. Instead of being like recently, I bought like a battery extender for my Oculus, and now yesterday I played I think almost 4 hours Fallout London VR on the cat VR. Amazing stuff. Um, you know, and that came from just being solution oriented. So once you drop the guilt, we find solutions, right? Guilt keeps us staring at the problem. Grace allows you to see the solution. Here's the belief to release. If I am struggling, I need to shame myself into doing better. The belief to embrace. I am innocent, and from a place of peace, I can easily find a practical solution. Like, think about it, guys. It's so simple, but do we do it? Do we do it? Course in Miracles quote. Guilt is a sign that your thinking is unnatural. Right? If we had more thoughts in alignment to the Holy Spirit, more giving us grace, imagine what our life would be like. Remember, if someone else makes a mistake, I'm guessing you guys are just like me. It's like, oh, that's okay. But if you make a mistake, you feel like, oh, it's a guilt city, just like I was. And now it's time to reverse it. Tell yourself it's okay. Focus on the solution. I wish someone told me this when I was younger. I really do. It's time to extend forgiveness inward. I know it's why I keep making this video over and over again because it's so easy to get caught up in guilt. It's so easy to forget who we really are. All right. Hope you guys enjoyed that live stream. Let me know what you guys think. May Holy Spirit light up your path wherever it takes you. Take care.